this back old school.
Yep, yeah, doing old school. For those who maybe didn't catch our very first episode, back when Drive Home Reviews started, it was literally reviewing movies on the drive home. So,
right, and technically this isn't the drive home.
Yeah.
We are reviewing movies as we fit it into our schedule.
Exactly, and so, but which is one of the reasons why I used to do it that way. Is like it was fresh, and it was just I had to drive home anyway. So why not just use that time? But yeah, we got a lot to talk about, and so we figured we're going to kick it old school. So if the audio quality isn't as great as normal, please forgive us. But you know, we have a busy life. We got 3 kids and jobs and shows, and you know.
Also, I think that calling our usual audio quality great is maybe reaching a little.
That is true.
Anyways, so let's talk about branded movies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so branded movies, by which I mean movies that are associated with a particularly well-known brand. Not so much a story, but a brand. Like, for say, the movie Clue.
Yeah.
Which, up until this point, I would say would probably be about the best representation of a branded movie.
I think it's a good representation of a branded movie, but I think the Lego movie is probably the first one.
The first Lego movie
is the best representation to me of a branded movie. And yeah, like you said, for definition's sake, when we're talking about a branded movie, what we're referring to, like you said, are films that are based on a property that don't necessarily have established characters or plots. You know, so like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, yes, they are a brand, but they have a history and a backstory. And
were they a comic book first?
They were a comic book first, yes.
So there was a plot line in place there.
Yeah, but whereas, like you say, something like Clue, Battleship, not Super Mario Brothers, Lego, Barbie. These are things.
Would you consider Rampage a branded movie, or is that's more of a video game movie?
I think that one's kind of 50-50, really, because while yes, it was a video game,
the video game didn't really have
a story. It was giant monsters destroy city. You know, this because it was back in those glory days when we didn't need a backstory or a universe for every video game. It was play as a giant monster, destroy the city.
Right.
That was all you needed to know, you know, back in the day.
Now, you mentioned the Lego movie. That is a movie you really like, despite having an aversion to Will Ferrell.
Yeah. You know, but I can bend those rules occasionally. You know, the more and more I know about him, I think it's just Will Ferrell's comedy that just doesn't work for me. Will Ferrell, the person, I kind of dig.
Right.
But
which, you know, is kind of new for you too. This is one of our disagreeing points because I'm a huge SNL fan from like the entire history of SNL, and so of course Will Ferrell is up there for me. And I've probably seen every Will Ferrell movie, but you actively avoid Will Ferrell.
I do.
He hadn't seen Elf before what, 2 years ago?
Until I was subjected to it.
And will be subjected multiple times a year for the rest of your life.
And you know what? I'm fine with that, just so long as you know you're going to be subjected to Santa Claus Conquers the Martians.
With love.
So, you know, yeah.
Anyways.
But yeah, I really did enjoy the Lego movie, and I think I want to put that one out there now, because as we review this film,
you have some comparisons.
Yeah, I think that the Lego movie is the closest comparison you can kind of give to the Barbie movie. It's kind of the closest in terms of theme and visual style and energy level. So I think the Lego movie is kind of if you will pardon the pun, the building blocks for what for what this movie did. So.
Now, you say energy level, and I think that's important. Like when you are making a movie, that is based around a children's toy, but not wanting it to be sardonic or dark or like you really do have to bring a childlike energy level to it.
And and that is, I remember when I saw the Lego movie in the theater. I mean, I was in my early 30s, I was late 30s, maybe early 40s.
Nah, it's long enough ago. You were in your 30s.
But I remember coming out of that and feeling like that hyper kid that I was.
Wanted to go play with Legos.
Because it was just such an assault. Like, and I think that's the word, a freaking assault.
But a happy assault.
Yes. But it was just so much manic energy, so many things happening on the screen, and the characters just going so fast, and the story moving, and going from, the West to Ponyland to, all of these things.
Oh, yeah. They really went all over the place, didn't they?
Yeah. But then having that gut punch of what it was really about and what was really going on, and I think most people watching the movie knew kind of what was going on, but the emotional gut punch of the dad and the son and the relationship and
right,
all of that being at the core of this seemingly disposable product placement movie,
right,
I think really is what elevated it up. I think a lot of people, it was a movie that celebrated the joy of playing with a toy, and also that feeling of trying to pass that on to your own kids, trying to pass, or being a gatekeeper of it and realizing that that's not the way to
enjoy it,
for that thing to exist or to, pass it on.
So speaking of passing things on, we have talked about a movie, not really branded, this is more the video game movie, but we've had a problem actually reviewing it, partially because we've had other movies that we wanted to review, or we've been sick, I've been sick, or because I don't have a lot to say about the movie. It did not pass my test of, is this better than taking a nap? So I slept through most of the movie and I don't really have much to say about it, but you have some stuff to say about it, so why don't you take this opportunity, love of my heart, to rant about Super Mario Brothers movie? Am I putting you on the spot too much?
Little bit. I might need to gather my thoughts on that one, because I do have some thoughts. I guess the thing that I will say about it is, in terms of an adaptation, it was better than the 94 film, but the 94 movie, I think, was objectively a better film, which is not at all a hot take.
No. Also, it had John Leguizamo in it,
and Bob Hopkins. Let's not discount the presence of Bob Hopkins, who was,
Now, I know one of the things that really bothered you is the accents. Let's talk about being Italian and the Super Mario Brothers movies.
It didn't the accents didn't bother me. It didn't bother me that they didn't come out, hey, oh, what you doing? Hey, oh, that did not bother me. What did bother me as an Italian is the feeling that these two guys were not plumbers from Brooklyn. These were not East Coast Italians that, and again, even though neither one of them is Italian or was Italian in Bob Hopkins' case, watching the 94 film,
they felt more Italian.
They felt Italian. They felt like East Coast, New York, Jersey, Brooklyn Italian.
Now, I know Chris Pratt did the voice of Mario. Who did the voice of Luigi?
Charlie Day.
And I like Charlie Day. But he's not who I'm going to think of to play Luigi. Oh, man.
There's a road closed. So.
It's frickin' Ragbri. Jesus.
What is this?
The race, the bicycle thing.
Oh, okay. This is the other part. The other fun part of doing this with the driving is we get these wonderful detours, like bike race.
Yeah, if you're not from Iowa and you're listening, in the summer they do a big cross-state bicycle race. I say race loosely. It's mainly an excuse to get drunk on bicycles. And they go from town to town. And they have different routes every year. And this year the route went through one of the small towns here that we drive through on the way to get to the place that has the mall and the Target.
Yeah.
So,
slight sidebar. Am I the only one that when you're driving along and you see just like a herd of people on a bike that you really wish you could just drive past them and open up your door and just kind of take them all out like a stack of dominoes? Is that me? Is that just me?
Yeah, at this point,
if you're listening to this on a bike, sorry. There was a guy back there, he had a bumper sticker and it said, "See bicycles." It's like, okay.
I see lots of bicycles.
I see lots of bicycles. Start seeing motorcycles. See? Anyway. So you mentioned earlier that you thought Clue was kind of the best branded movie. Why do you think that? Why?
And I'm not sure if Clue really counts because Clue does have a bit of a plot already in place, doesn't it?
It has a premise. I don't think it has, there's a murder and you have to solve the murder. And yeah, it has a cast of characters, but none of them in the original game really had a backstory or any kind of, they were just your typical Agatha Christie collection of goofy characters there to, all be suspects. So I think it had more of a premise in place as opposed to a plot.
I guess I would have to say it's just because of the quality of talent that the movie possessed.
I know, damn, that one.
Like, you had Tim Curry.
The great Tim Curry.
Oh my gosh.
Christopher Lee.
Madeline Kahn.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Martin Mull.
Had really wonderful, comedians, and some of those, for it to be a movie about a board game, some of the things have lasted for so long, like the flames on the side of my face, that's, it's just iconic.
The multiple endings,
right?
It could have happened this way, and it could have happened, but this is how it happened. Michael McKean was in that one as well.
Oh my gosh, yeah. So, I think its legacy to me is really the part that makes me think of it as successful, I suppose.
Now, again, not all of these are successful, because again, it's a very hard thing to, you mentioned Battleship. Oh my God. Have you actually sat through Battleship?
No, not that I recall. So if I did sit through it, I napped through it. It did not pass my nap test.
I didn't go and see it to review it, but
did you go to see it?
No, I caught. Well, if I went to see it to complain about it, I would have reviewed it. Because I go to movies sometimes that are bad just to complain about them. That's part of the fun. I'm still trying to get you on board with that concept.
I just still feel icky about freaking Queen Bees.
Yeah, I know you're still fighting the Queen Bees. But I caught it on TV
onto 610th Street.
Thank you, robot voice.
Onto 610th Street.
What is your opinion, robot voice of the future? Anyway,
we're having to take a detour
because of the bicycles.
Because of the bicycles,
yes.
So please to ignore the GPS.
Or, like I said, get her opinion. You know, but yeah, I caught Battleship on TV, and oh my God, it's like you have. If you feel like a movie about Battleship is a thing that needs to exist, if that is a thing that for some reason in your heart of hearts you feel the world needs to see, there's already a fascinating premise in place of, you know, trying to fight your enemy in a grid-like pattern. You don't have, you know, aiming technology or whatever. You know, there's so many things you can do. You can make a great World War I or World War II movie out of it. Why the fuck are you going with aliens? What? That has not... anyway. You know, kind of going back to the branded, you know, who's kind of the king of that. And there's one coming out because they're hyping it to a point of nauseum. Disney with their amusement park ride movies.
Oh, yeah.
Because Pirates of the Caribbean is a brand.
True. That is true. Like, that was just based on the ride, right?
Yeah.
Actually, I really am looking forward to the Haunted Mansion movie that is coming out. Not the Eddie Murphy movie.
Yeah, I like how they are conveniently forgetting the Eddie Murphy movie ever existed. They're just like, and what? No, this is the only time we've done. Like, they're not even giving this one a subtitle.
No.
Like Haunted Mansion Rebirth or Haunted Mansion, A Haunting We Will Go or whatever. You know, they're just like, no, Haunted Mansion. We never made another one of these.
But that is, talk about star-stacked. That one looks really star-stacked.
So we'll see if it actually is it a Pirates of the Caribbean level success, or is it a pirate every movie after Pirates of the Caribbean let down?
Now, I want to go back to Super Mario Brothers for a second.
Okay.
Because, like Will Ferrell, you've previously been anti-Jack Black.
I don't think I'm as anti-Jack Black as I am anti-everyone from Saturday Night Live. I just never found his brand of comedy really amusing. It never really hit me. But after seeing him in the Jumanji movies, Jumanji wasn't a pre-existing game, never mind. I actually turned the corner on Jack Black. I actually think Jack Black's pretty funny.
Yeah. And I want to say, I think that I stayed awake at least until I heard him sing Peaches. And what struck me about the Super Mario Brothers movie is that we're supposed to not want Bowser to get Princess Peach, but like the only thing I took away from the movie was that poor Bowser probably would have treated Peach pretty well.
Yeah, he was lonely. He wasn't evil. He was sad.
Yeah, I think that Jack Black is the only memorable part of the Mario Brothers for me.
So, all right. So we have talked a lot about some of these things, but now it's time to turn our attention to the woman of the hour. So we're going to take a quick break, make sure we have our directions set, and when we come back, come on Barbie, it's time to party. I'm a Barbie girl in your Barbie world.
So for the last 2 weeks, basically, all I've heard coming from this fella is that song.
Don't give me the just from this fella. It's from everybody. You've heard it everywhere. It's like the minute this movie came out, that's all anybody could watch. I'm not sure how Mattel feels about this being the most identifiable piece of media further film. What is?
Okay, we're gonna pause.
We're gonna pause for a second. Okay, we're back. That was an unintentional break, but once again, bike race, one road leading places, and trying to figure out where the fuck we're going.
Yeah, there was. Oh my gosh, it's crazy. I can't believe that we decided to try to come to go anywhere at this point.
We didn't.
We keep forgetting about it because we don't care. Anyway.
That's a t-shirt. Buy our merch. We keep forgetting about it because we don't care.
But something we do care about is Barbie.
Well, the Barbie movie. I was never obviously I was never a Barbie.
No, you say obviously, but that's a little sexist.
A little bit, yeah.
So, but you weren't.
I was not.
You do remember playing Barbies with your cousin?
My cousin Lisa and I, we would play Barbie meets He-Man.
Yes.
My cousin Lisa had a not an extensive Barbie collection, but a decent one. And I remember downstairs, the basement of their house is where the playroom, and we'd go down there, and she had them like sitting on these shelves, and all in a row, and then the Kens at the bottom, completely naked, like just no clothes on any of the Kens. And I don't know if that's something we should have talked about, but yeah, so that's my exposure to Barbie.
Now mine, growing up, we didn't have a lot of money, so most of my Barbies weren't actual Barbie brand Mattel TM. But
they were her off-brand equivalent Barbie.
Yes. Barbie. But I did have a couple, like the one with that growing hair.
Mm-hmm.
And we definitely didn't have Ken dolls. My brother had some wrestling action figures, and so that's usually who my Barbie married, unless she just decided that another Barbie would do. But I don't have a huge, like, if I was going to think about my childhood, the Muppet Babies definitely would be more influential in my life than Barbie does, but I do have a connection to them. And then having 3 daughters, like, the thinking about Barbie and what they represent and how, feminism, and that was something that came up in my life. So, going to see the Barbie movie, we took one of our daughters.
Took the middle daughter.
And the oldest went to go see it with her boyfriend, so blah, blah, blah. But we kind of did it up. We dressed like Barbie. We made earrings out of Barbie shoes. You made yourself a little Barbie purse necklace.
I did, and I wore my Pink Ranger t-shirt. So
so we did it up and went to go see Barbie on the opening night, technically the preview night.
Yeah.
I think, on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
So, Margot Robbie as Barbie.
Yep.
Ryan Gosling as Ken. I think everyone in the world knows that now.
Yep.
So, the first impressions, darling of my heart.
Well, let's before we get into that, let's for anybody who doesn't know, we're going to try to be succinct about this, about what actually happens in this movie.
Okay.
So, as I've said, it's the closest connection you can get to it is kind of the Lego movie with that meta. We're aware that we're toys,
right,
but at the same time not aware that we're toys.
Like Barbie, we open up in the Barbie world,
mm-hmm. And all of the toys, all the female toys are Barbie.
Yes.
All of the male toys, with the exception of
Alan.
Alan, are all Ken.
Well, Midge is not Barbie, and neither is Skipper.
That's true. But anyway, you kind of get the hint, and it's your typical Barbie fantasy world with Margot Robbie as our main focus Barbie, stereotypical Barbie, which is a fun branding experiment. Who is suddenly plagued by thoughts of death and loneliness.
Existential crisis.
Her feet go flat, and she's not in that arched heel thing anymore. And she's told by Weird Barbie, played by Kate McKinnon.
Yep, Kate McKinnon.
Yeah.
An SNL alum as well.
That she has to go to the real world, and I like the fact that they are aware that there is a their world and a real world.
Right.
Like, they're very cognizant of that, and find the little girl who's playing with her to figure out what crisis she's going through and help her through. So Barbie and her Ken, Beach Ken, played by Ryan Gosling, go to the real world, and of course are now exposed to all of the messaging and all the thoughts and opinions on Barbie that the real world has.
Whereas in their world, they're assuming that they fixed all of the problems.
They fixed sexism, they fixed feminism.
The world is represented. Their world is representative of how the world actually works.
You know, and they go and find that that's not true. Ken discovers
patriarchy.
He discovers the patriarchy. He discovers that the world is ruled by men, in a world where the Kens are kind of forgotten about and are basically other accessories. This idea of men getting whatever they want kind of infects him, and he goes back to Barbie Land and takes the idea of the patriarchy with him, or at least his vague interpretation of the patriarchy.
Which involves horses.
Which involves horses and a lot of Sylvester Stallone imagery.
Yes. Which I think is my favorite part of Ken's patriarchy. So then of course you get them trying to figure out what is the balance.
Yeah.
Between
so Margot Robbie Barbie brings that almost rhymes. Margot Robbie Barbie brings real people, America Ferrera and her daughter, to Barbie Land to discover what Ken has done to it, and they hatch a plan to undermine the patriarchy and return things to quote unquote normal. And there is just a lot going on in this movie.
Yes. There is a lot going on in this movie.
There is so much. So now that we've got the plot out of the way, your initial thoughts.
So I went into this, initially when I saw it, I'm not a Margot Robbie fan.
Nor am I.
And I was like, initially was like, that might be interesting. But I probably will just wait and see it when it comes out on video. And then when they started the marketing with the Barbie posters, I got more interested in it, because not only do you have Barbie, but they're including these side characters with all of these different versions of Barbie that have been more popular in the last few years, like the curvy Barbies and the Barbies of color, and so that really kind of got me interested in it. And then I just kind of decided to lean into the fun, but I didn't really know how it was going to go. But honestly, I was just entertained and enthralled by the entire thing.
Yeah, I have to agree with all of that. I am not a Margot Robbie fan. I have been annoyed or /hated just about everything I've seen her in prior to this, but damn, she was good in this.
It was amazing.
Really good. And I kind of expected the meta humor. The trailers kind of let you know that's where it's gonna kind of plant its flag. But I did not expect, when I was telling my mom that we went and saw this movie, she was worried that it was going to be one of these movies that basically said, you're stupid for liking this, you're, if you played
like the
with
Brady Bunch.
Yeah, exactly. If you played with this, then you're dumb. It's all terrible, it's all horrible. And this movie not only acknowledges but I compare it more to a Mel Brooks parody, where you acknowledge the issues, the problems, but you can also acknowledge that good things come from the same thing, or that we love a product not in spite of its issues, but because of them.
I've heard you say before that a good parody loves its subject.
Yes.
And I think that that's just the case here. Like, there's some just fun and amazing work at the beginning establishing Barbie Land, and the shower and the milk and the the Barbie world was perfect.
Whoever designed the costumes and the sets, they deserve an Oscar. They deserve all the Oscars.
The Barbie mansions were just amazing.
Life size.
Yes.
And you can just, if you took you took a bunch of little girls to that place and let them just play on it, I'm sure
little girls bullshit. I want to go and play in Barbie Land. They should leave that set up and make it a place people can visit.
Kind of like they did with the Hobbit set in New Zealand. But I was not quite prepared in the most delightful ways for the level of depth that the film went into. And again, I have to go back to me not being a Margot Robbie fan.
Right.
I thought the best moments of this movie, and this movie is good pretty much from start to finish. So when I say the best moments, you know that I'm really speaking of those moments that really stand out. Are moments of complete and utter, or almost complete and utter silence, where she is just observing the world and reacting to it.
Like the woman on the bench?
Yes, there is this beautiful, heartbreaking moment where she's sitting on the bench in the real world and looking around at the happiness, the ugliness, the different body types, the people's emotions, and in her face and in her reaction, you're just seeing her trying to comprehend all of it.
Yes.
Because all she's ever felt is joy.
It was so beautiful. Honestly, there were parts of this movie, what surprised me the most was how funny it was.
Yeah.
I was laughing my butt off. Shockingly laughing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the parts where you're it's making you feel things. I was tearing up with Barbie, and then America Ferrera gets to a part where she is doing a monologue, and I'm just crying.
What a fucking monologue.
Yeah.
One of those monologues that you wish was in a play.
I want to do that
so that
monologue.
people can do that monologue, because it was a hell of a monologue.
Oh my gosh.
About just the shit that women have to put up with on a daily basis.
It was amazing.
And not, not doctor women or, business women, but just women in just what women have to deal with.
Yeah, it was beautiful. And then you get to a point where the inventor is speaking to Barbie and talking about why she invented this for her child and what she wanted for her daughter. And that was it. I fully turned into that cartoon character that just sits on the ground and the tears are running out of your face like a river. It was just beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And
it takes a movie that is very confident in itself, in its writing, in its director, in its actors, that it feels it can take that chance and do that. It would have been so easy for this film to just be a 90-minute joke about Barbie.
It was not. It was...
Yeah, it would have been so easy for them to go down that road, but they decided we got something to say, and we're going to use Barbie as kind of the linchpin or the bridge to say what we need to say, and
what struck me with it was the nostalgia and sincerity without ironic pandering.
Yes, which is hard to do.
So genuine.
Yeah.
This movie was just genuine. Go ahead.
Even with like some of my favorite inside jokes is the inclusion of discontinued Barbies or concepts that
did not work.
That did not work, like the Sugar Daddy Ken.
Oh, Sugar's Daddy.
Yeah, but it's and then there was like
Magic Earring Ken,
and then there was watch her grow up Skipper,
growing up Skipper,
where her boobs grew, and it reminds me of that scene from the Lego Batman movie where they're running through all of these Batman villains and they're getting to the Condiment King, like, those aren't real. Oh no, all 100% real, probably worth a Google.
I do enjoy the weird Barbie, because yes, every person had a Barbie that you experimented on with the markers and the cutting and the splits and Kate McKinnon was perfect because she does have this really beautiful face. She is so beautiful, but she's also can do all the weird stuff. Like, she was perfect for that role.
The physicality all around in this movie, like, again, Margot Robbie, I've got to give her just a ton of credit. There's this scene where she's breaking down and she sits down on the ground like you would see a Barbie sit, with just the legs straight out, the arms kind of at that angle, and then she rolls over and lays down flat in the same way, just in the way a Barbie would move.
Oh, it's amazing. Well, and she's continued that, like, with the premieres and her press things. Like, I was watching them break down how she's even walking and posing like Barbie. So let's talk about the controversies.
Because there are a lot of controversies, and
mainly after people have watched Barbie. First of all, Piers Morgan slammed Barbie because of seeing the poster and seeing it say "Just Ken," he's Just Ken. Slammed it for misanthropy, saying, like
misogyny, hating men.
The misogyny is hating women.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry.
But the slamming it and saying that, it's all about taking the power away from it, which totally, dude, you should have seen the movie first, because that's kind of the whole plot point of the movie, is the Just Ken-ness. Like, it's the secondary plot point. So you really put your foot in your mouth there, dude. But mainly, the criticism I'm seeing from people who have watched the movie is coming from misogynists or neckbeards or incels, basically bashing it for being too woke. And once again, I will say, the opposite of awake is asleep. And why would you want to be proud that you're just sleeping through your life? Anyways.
Well, I'm sidebar. But I hate that term woke. And I hate it especially in terms of criticism of artistic works. Because first of all, for the exact reason you said, first of all, when you claim that you don't like something because it's woke, what you're basically saying is, I'm a sexist, misogynist dinosaur who, because this had women in it, or other genders, or other points of view, that makes it bad and evil.
Right.
So that's number one. Number two, I hate it as a critic, even an amateur critic, because if you don't like something, if you went and saw this movie and you did not like it, that's fair. You are not obligated to like everything everyone else likes. But have the gumption and the intelligence enough to frame, I didn't like this plot point, I didn't like the way this was represented, this is why, back it up. Don't just use a catch-all bumper sticker because it just makes you sound even stupider than you are.
Just like people claiming that the demons are coming in to infect their children through the Barbie movie.
Yeah.
Like,
But okay, let's talk about the Ken thing.
Yeah.
I am a male.
Oh, interesting.
I am a heterosexual male.
You're the cishet. You're cishet.
I am white. You know, so I would be the person that the Ken thing would offend the most theoretically. And what I can say from my perspective is I do not feel offended at this at all. I thought it was hysterical. I thought seeing Ken's, like we said, vague his interpretation of patriarchy and the idea of, you know, muscle cars and horses and Sylvester Stallone imagery.
Which is so funny because we've talked about how Sylvester Stallone is actually a non-toxic representation of masculinity.
Yeah, especially his most famous creation of Rocky is one of the most non-toxic characters you'll ever find.
But go ahead.
And what I liked about this, what I found funny, there's a couple of this I found really funny, is how Ken, when he's in the real world, goes, well, apparently here, men get everything. And he goes to, like, businesses like, I'd like a high-powered job, please. And they're like, do you have an MBA? He's like, no, but I'm a white man. It's like, that's not how that works.
Although one guy does say, oh, it is, but we just hide it better now.
Yeah. Or he goes to the doctor's office and he's talking to a female doctor. He's like, I want to operate. No, well, let me talk to a doctor. You are talking to a doctor. You know, I thought all that was funny. I thought, and what I appreciated about it is it's, instead of just kind of calling out bullshit madness, I like that they say that it came. They tried to explain or give a visual representation of where that insecurity comes from. This idea that, you know, men aren't really trained, at least in past generations, to know who they are specifically. They are trained to know what their place in society is. You're the provider, you're the protector, you're the this, you're the that.
Right.
And so when you don't have a sense of identity, you cling to whatever you feel gives you identity.
Exactly.
You know,
which is exactly what Ben Shapiro is doing right now.
Yes, exactly.
Criticisms.
Now, I will say, and you can tell me I'm wrong, that there were a few little moments in there where I would have liked to have seen representation of the better aspects of manhood. It did seem like we had the two flavors, the blank slate and the uber frat boy douchebag patriarchy, and not a lot in between, but you get the feeling that that's what Ken and the other Kens are going to discover, is the in-betweenness. So
right.
that's a minor feeling. That there were points in the film where I was like, you know, I would like to see that men aren't all hyper masculine, horse-loving douchebags.
Well, and I would say on a tiny portion of that, the America Ferrera's husband, who plays America Ferrera's husband in this, he kind of does do that. Like, as many issues as America is having, none of them are related to her husband. There's no, you know, she's not getting the patriarchal bit from her husband, and he is learning Spanish for her. Like, he's kind of being supportive. So I would say a little bit there is that.
Okay, I accept that, but may I offer this counterpoint? In the two scenes he had, he was framed as a joke.
I don't agree with you there. I think that you could see him as a joke if you wanted to take him as a joke, but I took him as a laid-back guy who's trying to learn Spanish for his wife. I would also say that when you get to the end and Barbie and Ken are trying to reconcile who they are, that you do see some glimmers of hope.
Well,
You know?
well, that's what I'm saying. It's kind of left to the belief that the middle ground is where the Kens are going to eventually get to.
And you also see, like, you think that they're going to play Will Ferrell's character, who is just referred to as Mother.
Well, yeah, that's fair. I kind of forgot about Will Ferrell's character, to be honest.
He's referred to as Mother. He's the head of Mattel. And you kind of think that they're going to portray him as this evil person who's trying to, you know, capitalize on women. But he really is trying, like, when the Ken thing kind of happens and it's altering things, he's the first one who wants to fix it. Like, he, you know, he says, I got into this business so that I could help women, you know, be stronger and things. So, like, there is a little bit of that there. And the intern is pretty devoted there.
Yeah, all right.
So there are some representations, but I would also argue that you get 95% of the other movies.
I mean, and that is fair. Well, again, this is why I'm saying that I get that what they're trying to get at is that this is who the Kens will eventually become. I will say I didn't feel attacked or, you know, or anything like that. I didn't think this was a man-hating movie.
No, not at all.
All I'm saying is that I can understand the idea that you may feel like there's not a huge representation of positive males.
True.
So that is, you know, like I say, you're the blank slate Mimbo or the dirtbag. But now here's the thing. Isn't that just a juxtaposition of how women are represented in most films?
Boom.
So, you know, so there you go.
I would even argue that the men get better representation in this than women do in most. Like,
I would argue that as well.
Compare the representation of men in this movie to the representation of women in Oppenheimer,
which we will get to. and
these are movies that came out on the same day. And the representation of women in Christopher Nolan films is just bleak.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Of course, to be fair, the representation of everybody in Christopher Nolan movies is bleak.
Yeah, except for apparently Oppenheimer. Yeah. Anyway, but there were, I thought, just some really clever little bits here that did kind of point out misogyny that made you think.
Yeah.
Like, of course, there's like the inclination of the Kens and the patriarchy to talk about The Godfather or become obsessed with the Zack Snyder.
The Zack Snyder. I thought that was fucking hysterical.
But also, like, little things like the Ken's favorite song being Push. And then after the movie, us sitting there going, that song is really problematic. Like, I never really sat down and thought about it, but yeah, that song is problematic. So, so yeah, there was just, like, you don't expect to walk out of a movie about Barbie with things to chew on and think about, or be moved in any kind of way.
Yep.
So
okay, so let's get to this, because I know...
In a quarter mile, turn left onto US 75 South, Floyd Avenue South.
Thank you, Magic Voice. Anyway, so you are very much in favor of this movie. But I always have to ask the question, is there anything about this movie that you did not like, that didn't work for you?
No, I really, for me, no, not at all. I know that you have an issue with it.
I believe no movie is flawless.
Yes, I know.
I believe there's no such thing as a perfect piece of art. I think.
Continue on US 75 South for 14 13 miles.
Well, that is a great opinion, Magic Voice, but I disagree with you. Okay, so my only major thing, in just in terms of structure of this movie, is I felt America Ferrera's daughter was completely unnecessary. Or at the very least, maybe not completely unnecessary, because the concept, again, kind of like the Lego movie of passing your love for something down to your children, or attempting to pass something you love down to your children and they completely reject it, is part of the story. But I felt like her character was underdeveloped. Their bond and their, the thing at the core of what started all of this, the whole plot in motion, the inciting incident of them kind of drifting away from each other, and America Ferrera feeling abandoned and longing for happier times playing with Barbies. I did not feel like that truly got a resolution. It was just kind of mixed. It's like, oh, we're here in Barbie land and now I'm happy, or now I'm willing to help, or whatever. Now I see how great my mom is. It felt very pat. And I feel that could have used more development, or it is completely possible to do it without that character in it.
So I feel like the character was necessary because she was our voice that said all of those problematic things about Barbie, about the commercialism, about, unrealistic body standards. She's the one who voiced all of those things. The problem, because you mentioned, they could have had America do it, but the problem with that is that I think they made a better choice in keeping America from being bitter. I didn't want her to be jaded. I didn't want her to be bitter about Barbie. I think that it was beautiful that she was still excited by these things. And having the jaded voice come from her daughter, who never really comes around to Barbie so much as she comes around to her mother's point of view. So I disagree with you on that. I think that it's a lot more fleshed out than you're giving it credit for. And if they would have devoted any more time to it, then the movie would have been too long.
You could have cut some out of the Ken dance scene.
No, you couldn't.
Yes, no, you agreed with me on that earlier. You agreed with me on that earlier.
Yes, but
that while I thought the Ken battle scene and dance number was hysterical, I did feel it went on too long. You could have cut a couple minutes out of that. And
no, taking it to a Singing in the Rain level abstract dance was kind of cool.
Okay, here's a question. There's some other things kind of. So we have both expressed our admiration for Margot Robbie's performance in this. What did you think of Ryan Gosling as Ken?
I actually liked him a lot more than I thought I would. I think a lot of times he takes himself too seriously, but I think it worked well in this. He did have that vacant, clueless, always trying to catch Barbie's attention thing at the beginning. And then I think when he's in the real world, you can see on him, you can see the realization that things are flipped around in the real world come across his face. So I think he did a good job.
Okay.
I think Simu Liu is clearly the superior Ken.
Yes.
But
yes. And Michael Cera as
Alan.
Alan is wonderful.
Was perfect.
Yes.
And I'm not even a big Michael Cera fan.
I will agree that I think he did a decent job. I don't know. There's just something about Ryan Gosling I just can't connect with.
No.
And even though I feel like he did a really good job here, I still just was like, I don't know. I couldn't connect with him, which is funny because there are very few people that I could see playing a vapid hunk of hollow plastic better than him, with the maybe exception of Chris Pine.
Yes, I love Chris Pine.
Yes,
but
I know.
anyways, I don't know. I think, like I said, I think as of the last few years, he's taken himself too seriously. But I loved Ryan Gosling back when I was a teenager, and he was on the Canadian show Breaker High, which was hilarious at the time. Probably problematic and awful now, but I enjoyed it back then. So I don't know. I guess I've always kind of got a soft spot for him. But I thought he did a great job as Ken.
I thought he did decent, but I don't know. There's something that just didn't click with me. I don't know why. But before we get to the final grades, we had started talking about some of the controversy, but there's some other controversy about this movie that we just need to take a minute to say fuck you to, because these people are just asinine. This whole thing that it's gay propaganda and pandering to gay people. Yes. Do you know why? Because it's a fucking Barbie movie.
Do you know who? It just cracks me up that they're talking about alienating their audience when the audience of Barbie were women and gay guys.
Yeah.
The
fuck?
Who else was playing with Barbie? I'm sorry, Ben Shapiro, this movie was not for you. And the fact that he went out and bought Barbies to burn them in protest, just, dude.
And I want to talk on this one too for a second. That it's trans propaganda. There is one trans actor in this film, and I dare you to go in and try to spot them. If you don't already know this person, you're not going to know.
Yeah, you didn't realize.
I didn't realize she was trans.
Yeah.
Just, God damn it, go fuck yourselves. Please, go get laid or go do something, because you got this rage and you need to point it somewhere constructive. Maybe point it at mass shootings.
Yeah.
How about that? Why don't you point it at that instead of a fucking Barbie movie?
Maybe that was the problem with this movie, is that there wasn't enough guns in it.
Yeah.
All the weapons were Nerf toys.
I was honestly waiting for a joke where the Kens got a bunch of plastic guns from G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
I was actually waiting for that.
Oh, no, the dance fight was way better.
Yeah, but you know what? Yeah. So this movie wasn't made for you. Big shock, and that's part of the theme of the movie. Not everything is made for you.
Right.
Get the fuck over it. Jesus.
The people who this movie was made for are going to enjoy it, and it's going to speak to them, and it's going to, touch them in a way that is not often seen in movies.
And I dare say that even the people that this is not made for, if you go into it without all of your fucking baggage, and you go in and actually watch it to enjoy it and listen to it, you will get something out of it. I feel like I got something out of this film.
Right.
And I was, aside from being a toy guy, like we said, not a Margot Robbie fan, not a Ryan Gosling fan, not a Barbie guy.
You're not even really into Greta Gerwig movies.
No, so I'm definitely not the target audience, but guess what? I liked it.
Yeah.
And you can too if you just stop attaching electrodes to your genitals for fun. Anyway.
Or unless that is the thing that you're into, and go, you do you.
Yeah, that's true. All right,
anyways.
One last thing before we grade. So we talked about this, and we talked about one of the great things, that they had all the multi-racial Barbies. They had a larger size Barbie, a trans Barbie, but I have to say, the one thing I was disappointed in, there was no vitiligo Barbie. As someone with vitiligo, it really, I was contemplating, I was contemplating buying vitiligo Barbie and Ken.
Yeah.
Just because I'm someone with that.
Yeah.
And I would have liked to have seen vitiligo Barbie and Ken. So that's a personal thing.
But Yes.
But they can't represent everybody at all times.
I was so glad to see, and they never made mention of it. They never said, "Oh, this is Fat Barbie."
Yeah.
No.
She was Barbie, and they treated her just as.
Yeah, she got all the cool clothes. She got to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
Like one of the curvier Barbies was a diplomat.
Yeah. So you can't please everybody all the time. You gotta make your cuts somewhere. I'm just saying I would have liked to have seen it.
Yeah.
That's just me.
And they could have gotten Winnie Harlow to play.
Yes, exactly.
Which we named our Calico Cat after.
Well, you named your Calico Cat.
Yeah. So
but anyway.
Yeah. Okay. So great.
So finally, I think we've said all we need to say. Final grade for this one for you, my love.
Oh, A+. A+. I cannot wait to watch it again. I definitely am going to. It's going in my roster. My favorite movie of the year so far, and a contender for top 5 of my favorite movies of all time.
All right, so that's quite the endorsement.
Yeah,
that is quite the endorsement. I can't say that it rocked me quite the way it rocked you. I do think it's going to end up on my top 10 list, depending on what else comes out this year. I will say it gave me a much greater respect for Margot Robbie as an actor. Like I say, I don't think I'm as bowled over, but I too will have to give this one an A+.
Oh.
I think it is better than it had any right to be, and you can go and just have fun with the goofiness of it. You can go and learn something. You can go and there was one commercial for it that said, see it if you love Barbie, see it if you hate Barbie, see it with your mother, daughter, son, father, and I think it truly is a film you can do that with.
Right. Oh, and it is very, there's no sexual content. There's no, I don't even think any swearing in this.
Yeah, the one swear they Mattel'd out.
Yeah.
So yeah, I enjoyed this, and I think it deserves all the hype it's getting, and yeah. So in this instance, I can say I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world. So all right, so there you go. But yeah, this film also had a dark brother that has kind of latched onto it like a parasite and has been using it to suck the lifeblood and make you feel like you have to see both of these movies. And we fell into that, and we are going to talk about our experience with that. So when next we meet, we will discuss Oppenheimer. That's assuming if it's not still running.
We may still be in the theater.
This could all be like a fever dream, and we're just still in the theater, still watching it, and this is like that occurrence at Owl Creek Bridge where we're having a beautiful fantasy that the movie ended and we got to leave the theater, and we're actually still there watching it. So who knows? But we will discuss this when next we meet. So thanks for coming along. Thanks for coming with us as we went old school with this one. And thank you, my love. Oh, another wonderful date night and wonderful time with the middle child.
Yes, she was so excited. She got to pick where
we kept with the restaurant and everything.
Yeah.
So yes, wonderful time. Thank you for joining us. And as always, drive safe, and we will see you at the movies.